Hello, hello. This is Sheri Flasch with the Esthetician Connection, and I am here with Vishnu from Hale Cosmeceuticals. So happy to have you here today to talk about all things Hale Cosmeceuticals, but primarily chemical peels. So I'm excited about that. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to get a chance to talk to you and the rest of the community about Hale Cosmeceuticals and chemical peels and our chemical peels specifically.
Awesome. Well, tell me, before we get started, tell me a little bit about you and Hale Cosmeceuticals so that we can kind of give them an idea as to the history of the company and what you primarily do.
Yeah, so our company, Hale Cosmeceuticals, was started about 30 years ago. Really, the foundations of our company is based in science and the skincare science as well. The company's formulas, all of our products really started by chemists and dermatologists, physicians kind of working together, coming up with the best technologies, getting it from the books, textbooks, and articles into physical form and creams, lotions, chemical peels, things like that. So, we've been around for a while. Everything we do is done in-house in Illinois, made in the USA. So from R&D, new product formula development, quality control, production, filling, shipping, we do all of that in-house. And that's one thing that we're proud of, to have been able to, considering all the changes and ups and downs of culture and economy over the last 30 years, we've kind of been able to persist. And I think a main reason for that is just the quality of our products and the science behind, the technologies. So that's kind of about our company. We have a wide variety of products from skincare and chemical peels. We really focus on skin health. The science behind the products is really meant to help with anti-aging, wrinkles, acne, hyperpigmentation, all of the kind of main things that happen to us over time, but also even, acute concerns like rosacea, melasma, acne scarring, sun damage, and all that. So, I think we have a pretty wide variety of products, and, we try not to put too many things into one product. We have, different products targeting different problem areas, and we're pretty proud of that. So today we'll be talking more about chemical peels, and we have a wide variety of chemical peels as well, which we'll get into. My name is Dr. Vishnu Potini. I'm a physician. It's our company. We've been privately owned since the start, and happy to have been working closely with estheticians and dermatologists over the last several decades. All the products we make are used and trusted by professional skincare providers. So there's feedback with products. We really get a chance to interact with people, see how it's working for their clients, and improve existing products, come up with new products. A lot of these combination peels we'll talk about later have kind of been brought to us by some of our estheticians, like, oh, have you tried this? I think this might be a good idea. So, it helps us, and we like that kind of working relationship with all of our esthetician partners.
No, I think that's great. And speaking of, I am an esthetician, and I was lucky enough to get, and I'm going to show if everyone's there. I have tried and I've used Hale Cosmeceutical peels in the past, but this is the first time I got to experience this is a 25% TCA, and I'm on day 3, and I'm cracking. And if you can't see, for anybody who's looking, it often starts to peel around the mouth first because you're talking and you're moving and whatnot. So I had a little bit more cracking here. So I'm on day 3, and I'm taking lots of photos. So we're going to be able to share this with our members and our community. But if I'm looking a little strange in this, it's because I'm on day 3 of a TCA peel from Hale Cosmeceuticals, and I want to show you what the bottle looks like. They do have really nice formulas. Make sure I get it here. Whoops. And as Vishnu mentioned, the diversity in peels is kind of crazy cool, because you can, if you're a beginner, you can start with some of their milder peels. If you have been using peels for a long time and you wanted to go into more advanced peels, they have options for you as well. So that's one of the things I really like about the selection that you have. You've got everything from a gentle peel all the way through an aggressive peel. And it helps the estheticians and the practices take their clients through different stages of skin health and help them correct different skin conditions as they're coming up as they get older. So let's talk a little bit about, and you mentioned this, and I'm super intrigued because after I'm done this one, and I heal from this, and I give my skin a break, at least I'll probably go about 6 weeks. I'm thinking about diving into one of your blended peels because I love the fact that you said some of these ideas came to you through your accounts. And that really speaks volumes because estheticians kind of know which acids are working really well. And they think, gosh, if we could put these together, couldn't we get really cool results? So let's talk a little bit about a few products. I'm going to pull these two up first, and I'm debating on which one I want to do next, but I'll probably make that decision after I hear some of your responses. So let's talk a little bit about the Rosie 22 and the Alpha K6 peel, which are right here. So let's start with the Rosie 22. Tell us a little bit about this peel, who it's for, how it's applied, what's the healing process, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so the Rosie 22 is our newest peel, and it's one of our most popular peels right now. And this is one of the ones that was brought to us by one of our customers at a trade show. Actually, we talked about this for 30 to 40 minutes. And what's in the Rosie 22 peel is a combination of several different actives, a low percentage of TCA, so that's going to give you kind of a little bit more deep, but at a low percentage, a deep but mild peeling effect. It also has lactic acid, which is an alpha hydroxy acid. And then the three interesting ingredients we added in this one is azelaic acid, arbutin, and kojic acid. So the combination of those 5 active ingredients are going to really give you the exfoliation that you want, but also a lot of benefits for acne scarring, hyperpigmentation. So it's been really popular for that, for deep acne scars, but even just with the TCA and lactic acid, you're still getting the ability to exfoliate the skin and stimulate that collagen production. And they all kind of work synergistically to treat hyperpigmentation, age spots. But definitely the arbutin and kojic, those specifically are going to work on the melanin production pathway. So those two, as well as azelaic acid, all of those are really good for, rosacea as well. We say it's good for. So yeah, I mean, it's a really versatile peel. It can be layered. It's self-neutralizing as well.
That's
So
what I
that's
was
an
going to
important
ask.
thing to note. And I think depending on people's comfort level, there's a low percentage of TCA. So, if you have a client who's maybe not ever had a TCA peel before, you just start with, 1 layer or 2 layers. But as people are more comfortable using the peel, we have people layer this, 4 to 5, 6 times. It's really good for sun damage and deep wrinkles as well. Downtime, I think it varies on person, but I think a typical, like a TCA would be, 3 to 7 days or so you can expect. And there are some people that won't see as much shedding. It just depends on, everyone's a little bit different, but definitely the results people are very happy with. And, I think it's been one of our more exciting products to launch because, it just came through this collaborative effect with, one of our customers.
I love it. And so far, I know I already want that one at some point. And it's got a lower percentage of TCA, and TCA denatures the protein. It's a little bit different than an alpha hydroxy versus and a beta hydroxy in terms of the way it exfoliates. So at that lower percentage, they're still going to probably have some shedding, but most likely they're not going to have this type of depth of shedding.
Right.
I'm sheeting. I'm actually pieces are coming off in large sheets. So this sounds to me like it's more of a large flaking type of process. Is that right?
Yeah, it is definitely a more gentle. The percentage of TCA in this is very low. I think you mentioned for your skin recently used a 25%. Is that correct? And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the TCA in this is not anywhere close to that. It's definitely below 10%. So it's going to give you the benefits of a TCA, but really not the long-term downtime or the aggressive nature of a TCA, because we wanted this to be formulated to also be used for sensitive skin types like rosacea and melasma and people who have acne issues too. So it's a low percentage of TCA, which is going to be good for sensitive skin, but also still have the, benefits of TCA and lactic working kind of, in different ways, as you mentioned. So that's why you have both types of acids in there.
I love that. I have always loved a TCA with a lactic. I just think it's just such a great combination. So, okay, I'm still going to ask you about the next peel, but right now I want this one next. So let's talk about the next one. Now, before I go on to that, so the Rosie 22 peel, would you say that a newer esthetician or an esthetician who's new to TCA would be more comfortable with this? This might be something they could kind of dip their toes in to kind of get an experience with the TCA.
Yeah, absolutely. Because as I mentioned, it is going to be a little bit more gentle. Even the lactic is, we consider a gentle AHA. So low level TCA, a lactic is a gentle AHA. So, and this is a self-neutralizing peel. So I definitely think this is one that people can start out using. Maybe I would say if someone's not comfortable, just start with fewer layers. And then as you get used to seeing how it works on your clients, then you can start layering it more as you get more comfortable with it.
And I like that. I was looking over, that's the other thing, is that you have excellent educational information that comes with the peel. So you get the breakdown of the peels, you get how to apply it, but then you've got that chart which tells you what the acids are, tells you what the indications are for. I write down there, is it neutralized, is it not, is it rinsed off, is it not? These are things that estheticians love to have handy when they're working with peels. And then it also has a section where you talk about the layers, anywhere from 1 to 6 or 2 to 5 or whatever. And that's really good too, because a lot of times estheticians aren't as aware that they can layer, and they go, oh, that wasn't strong enough, or I didn't get enough exfoliation for my client. And the answer could be as simple as perhaps add a layer or 2 next time you have that peel, and they're going to get a little bit more enhanced effect. So the literature that you provide with the chemical peels, the instruction, the brochure, the information you have at your website is extremely important when providing chemical peels, because as you mentioned earlier, you've been around a long time. Hale Cosmeceuticals is not new. So you have the customer service, you've got the support that the estheticians need. When you buy something randomly off the internet or at a show or whatever, oftentimes you don't get that type of connection with the company. And I think that's really important that you guys offer that. And I want to make sure that we share that in this video as well. So the next peel we're going to talk about, now that we know I already want that one. Oh my goodness, we haven't even said this. It's National Chemical Peel Day.
Yeah, you're right. I did see that.
I emailed you that. No, I forgot. Today is National Chemical Peel Day when we're doing this. And I just thought how appropriate. I'm doing an interview on chemical peels. It's March 10th. That's when we're doing this interview. And I'm in the middle of a chemical peel, and we're talking about chemical peel. So it all just, the trifecta all came together perfectly today. So let's talk a little bit about the Alpha K6 peel. And I'm going to hold this up so they can see it. And then if you would not mind sharing a little bit more about this peel.
Yeah, so the Alpha K6, basically what you need to know is in the name. So alpha is because it has 3 different types of alpha hydroxys. It's got glycolic, lactic, and mandelic. And so those 3 alpha hydroxy acids, they work to exfoliate the skin by dissolving the desmosomes and promoting that exfoliation and skin cell turnover. And they all 3 have different molecular weights. So of those 3, glycolic's the smallest, so it's going to be able to penetrate deeper. And then the largest is going to be the mandelic. So that's going to be a little bit more slower to penetrate and more superficial. So the 3 of those, and then the differentiator for this is going to be the K, which is kojic acid. So kojic acid is derived from mushrooms and is really good as well for regulating melanin production and, helps with skin brightening. So this is really a great peel to help with hyperpigmentation, as well as kind of your typical alpha hydroxy acid peel. This is one that's going to need to be neutralized after it's used, but it's really great for brightening and then anti-aging as well.
So we've got kojic, we've got glycolic, we've got lactic, we've got mandelic.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the 6?
Kojic acid.
Oh, the K6. Gotcha. Okay, so you got the 3 HAs, and then you've got the kojic. So This is really cool for estheticians to offer these individually. But did this come from a collaboration with an account?
Right.
I love it. So putting this together really helps you fine tune what you're correcting on someone's skin. Can you layer this one as well?
Yes, this one can be layered. I wouldn't recommend too many layers, but it can be layered.
Yeah, and that is, again, that goes back to the experience, the esthetician's experience with the skin, how the client's skin responds to it. Have they had chemical peels before? Do they have resilient skin? Do they have barrier compromised skin? There's so many
Exactly.
variables in determining, how you're going to apply those peels. And you guys are always there to answer
Exactly.
questions when they, so if they're getting ready to do a peel on someone and they have a few questions and they're using your peels, they can reach out and you guys are going to help them through that. So I'm going
Exactly.
to
I
say
think
that
that's the
numerous
key you
times.
mentioned. I mean, we have all of the information in hard copy form, on the website, handouts. We have very scientific to kind of basic bare bones, what you need to know in a quick form. But we're always available, during business hours. You pick up the phone and call the number and there's a real person there. So as you mentioned, we have people, like you said, just call us up right before they're about to use it. If they haven't used it in a while and maybe just want to make sure they remember how to do something, we're always there.
That is, it's important in any industry, but it's super important in an industry like ours where we're dealing with clients or patients every day and we want to make sure we're providing the absolute best service possible. So I think that's one of the best things that you guys do besides chemical peels. I love your chemical peels. Let's talk a little bit about, and if someone's new to this video and they're like, what's an AHA or a BHA? So I wanted to make sure we touched on some of the differences between AHAs, which is alpha hydroxy acid, and BHAs is beta hydroxy acid. So when you hear us say AHA or BHA, that's kind of what we're referring to. So let's go down the list. And you also mentioned molecular weight. So molecular weight is going to be the size or the molecule of that product, how it's going into the skin. So the smaller it is, the faster it's going to penetrate into the skin and potentially the deeper it could penetrate. So when you're looking at acids that have small molecular weight, not that you shouldn't be diligent with all peels, but you want to be super diligent with those peels because they can go in super, super, super fast. So let's talk a little bit about AHAs and BHAs and the difference between them.
Right. So alpha hydroxy acid, as you mentioned, and beta hydroxy acid. So the key kind of similarity is the hydroxy acid component. And what those do in chemical peels is they really help exfoliate and with skin turnover because they dissolve the desmosomes that hold the skin cells together. So it just kind of helps accelerate the natural skin turnover process that our body goes through on a daily constant basis. The key difference between alpha hydroxy acids and beta hydroxy acids is that alpha hydroxy acids are water soluble and beta hydroxy acids are oil soluble. So when we talk about alpha hydroxy acids, especially the major ones, and we carry all of these different peels, glycolic acid, as Sheri mentioned, is going to be the smallest. And then even when you're choosing like a glycolic acid peel, you can choose different concentrations to give you a higher percentage of glycolic acid. So for us, we have a 20%, 30%, 70%, and then kind of going up the size of molecule will be lactic acid. And then the largest kind of pure alpha hydroxy acid that we have is a mandelic acid. So as you go up in size of molecule, as Sheri mentioned, the molecules won't penetrate the skin as deeply. So the larger molecules we consider to be more gentle. So, lactic's more gentle than glycolic, and then mandelic is even more gentle just because it's not going to absorb as rapidly. But they all act similarly in the same way, and they all need to be neutralized in our concentrations. And the other thing is when you're looking at chemical peels is to look at the pH as well. You could have a glycolic 30% at pH 1 and a glycolic 30% at pH 3, and they're going to behave a little bit differently just because the more acidic it is, you can imagine, how much more effect it would give to the skin. So
Yeah.
then that's kind of alpha hydroxy acids. There's another acid that we have as well in our portfolio called phytic acid, and that's considered an alpha hydroxy acid as well. It's also a larger molecule, so it's considered mild, but that really works has a lot of antioxidant properties. So that's really interesting. So phytic acid, it's kind of a chelator, so it helps kind of attract different molecules in the skin that could cause DNA damage. So that's how it kind of gives antioxidant properties. So the other interesting thing is because phytic acid is a AHA, it works really synergistically with glycolic, And so we do have kind of a combination peel with phytic and glycolic that will not only give you the exfoliation, but also really give you a lot of antioxidant properties as well. For more mature skin, maybe, or sun damaged skin, where you really want to brighten, but also give some antioxidants as well. So those are kind of the main AHAs, and there's a lot more out there, but these are the ones that we carry, and they all work the same way. It's just kind of different molecules and different, strengths per se. The beta hydroxy acids are going to be oil soluble, so this is why they're typically thought of being used for acne, because if you can imagine, a person with more oily skin or acneic skin, the water soluble hydroxy acids won't kind of pass through that oil layer on the skin. So the salicylic acid is the most commonly used beta hydroxy acid. That's going to be really good for getting down an oilier skin, helping clear the pores of oil debris and other things like that. So still works in the same way, but the oil soluble nature of it makes it much more effective in oilier skin. Which is why we do have a 20% and 30% salicylic, which is really used for acneic skin. And we do have a salicylic mandelic combination to kind of give you, that combination as well, because they work similarly, but one is alpha, which is water soluble, and one is beta, which is oil soluble. So you get the best of both.
Okay, now question. So when it comes to mandelic, I have read in numerous places that it's oil soluble, and I've read in numerous places it's water soluble. Is it an acid that's soluble in both water and oil?
Yeah, I think and I've heard the same thing too with phytic. I think these really large molecules behave a little bit differently. And really, when we're talking about the molecular weights, they're much different. Order of magnitude of 10, glycolic to mandelic, I think, is 10 times size difference. So we're talking huge differences in molecule size, and phytic acid is also a much larger molecule. So I think the larger AHAs do have a little bit more of a blended efficacy. And I think we're still learning a little bit more about them too, because at least for me personally, I feel like mandelic and phytic are somewhat newer technologies compared to, your not gold standards, but, your hallmarks of lactic and glycolic and salicylic. So I think as we learn more about these acids, we'll figure out more kind of how they work. But the structure is of an alpha hydroxy acid based on where the hydroxy groups is located. But the size of the molecule, maybe it has a little bit more oil solubility than the typical AHA would.
Makes sense. It makes sense. And I was just showing them. It was another combination of mandelic and salicylic. So they've got acids in their original form at various strengths. So you can get salicylic in 2 strengths, I think you have. Am I right?
Yep.
20 and 30? Okay. Yep. So if you wanted to do a salicylic peel, Hale Cosmeceuticals is going to have a salicylic peel, and they're going to have different strengths. If you want to venture out and do combination peels, let's say a salicylic with a mandelic. So you've got somebody who's acne prone, but yet they're prone to pigmentation, and maybe they're even a little bit more sensitive. So you do a combination of a salicylic mandelic. So it's really nice that you have that combination there. And then they have the same thing with your glycolic. They're going to have various strengths, and the lactic, various strengths, and even the TCAs have various strengths. So I think that you guys have covered the gamut with the types of peels that you have. I want to make sure that we touch on, because do you have 1 or 2 Jessners? I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so we have 2. We have the standard 14, 14, 14 with resorcinol, and we also have what we call our platinum peel. It's a modified Jessner, so it's 7 of lactic and salicylic, and then it's 7% actually of resveratrol. So some people call it a red wine peel. It's more of kind of a lunchtime peel. It's not going to give you as much shedding as a typical Jessner would, but it still functions in the same way.
I love a good Jessner's. So if you're watching this, Jessner's is a standard Jessner's is broken down by having 14% salicylic, 14% lactic, and then 14% resorcinol. And that's called a standard Jessner's. And then in the marketplace, there's been what's called a modified Jessner's, and they either add things, take out things, change percentages. So the platinum peel, which is now on my list of things I want to try, has your 7% lactic, your 7% salicylic, and then instead of the resorcinol, you have resveratrol. That's
Yes.
kind of your modified version. So that sounds really exciting, especially if you've been thinking about getting involved with Jessner's peels and you're a little leery because maybe you haven't worked with them in the past. The Platinum's a good way to kind of get your feet wet to understand how a Jessner's works and how the skin heals and your client's tolerance for that type of peel. So I'm really happy that you have those two options. A few more things I want to touch on before we forget is, let's see, we went over this. I have my list here. Oh, I know, two things I really want to talk about. One is the enhanced ACE treatment. I might not have told you I wanted to talk about this, but I do. So I'm going to make sure I can get this up here. Whoops, this way. Okay, this is a liquid retinol. Okay, I'm going to have you explain more about it, but I'm going to pull this up so you guys can see what it looks like. It's a liquid. And it's yellow. See, I did a lot of work in medical offices in my early years, and we used a lot of retinol boosters all the time. And it really, really took that peel to the next level. So can you share a little bit about how this works?
Yeah, so this is our enhanced ACE. We call it exactly as you mentioned. It's a retinol peel booster. So it's a high potency retinol serum, which you would use after chemical peel to really enhance the peel and give you a lot more shedding. You know, a lot of times sometimes if people get more resistant or used to the chemical peels, you can use the booster to kind of enhance that effect. Or some people just really want to have that shedding and increase skin cell turnover. So that's what this allows you to do. The retinol, as we know, also works on skin cell turnover, which is why this high potency serum works so well. And you know, the things that we add into it, the enhanced ACE, the ACE component of it. So the vitamin A is a retinol, but then also with vitamin E and vitamin C, it helps kind of with the collagen synergistically with retinol to help with collagen restoration, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant properties as well. So it's kind of a really nice product, and it's a high potency. It's a nice serum that goes on after a peel, and it really helps kind of enhance that effect and give people that look. You know, some people want to have that look of I just got a chemical peel, and this will definitely give that to you.
Don't do it. Now, so a couple questions on this. The retinol booster, can they use this after all of your peels, or are there any that you say no, not with this peel?
Yeah, for us, we say you could use it after any peel. You know, all of the chemical peels could be enhanced with the retinol booster from our perspective.
Perfect. So if you're watching this, what we're saying is, like, let's say you're using a lactic acid from Hale, or let's say you took their their platinum peel, or let's say you did one of their lower TCA peels, and you want to take it to the next level, and you might not really want to do that second or third coat. Maybe you do 2 coats, right? Because this is what's so fun about chemical peels is you can just be, you can be so creative with your results. So let's say you put on a few layers of one of your peels, and you really wanted to kick it up a notch, but didn't want to do another layer, and you could do a layer of this on. Now, would you do this with a brush, or would you continue to do this with a gauze? What would be your preference?
So our protocol, we say apply it with a 2x2 gauze. And the other interesting thing I wanted to mention too is we do have some people that just use this enhanced ACE treatment by itself. So even just doing this retinol, kind of like a retinol peel, I mean, some people do that as well, which is still going to give you that shedding and skin cell turnover with the vitamin C and vitamin E as well. But our usage is we recommend a gauze pad just to help you evenly distribute it, but it could be used either way.
And that, because there's, estheticians apply them, and I always use gauze. I mean, now the one downside to gauze is you do have to make sure you're using a small piece so you don't absorb the product. And I used to use the same one versus trying to bring out new ones, because then you're just sucking up all your products. So I think that's really important too. One of the things I think I'm going to try with this is going to be peeled off in about 5 more days. Probably it should all be off. I might follow it up with, because if you've ever had a TCA before, you sometimes get some residual pieces just kind of doing their thing. This is probably going to help that accelerate and bring all this off. So I think that's the next one I'm going to do. Is I'm going to go ahead, and because I've not tried this individually by itself, I'm going to do that one next. And then maybe about a month and a half later, I think I'm going to dive into the Rosie 22. I just love peels.
Let me know how it goes.
I will do that. So let's see. Oh, before we stop, because we've got maybe a minute or two left, I want to talk about the importance of prepping the skin for a chemical peel. I mean, as an esthetician, I'm always prepping my skin. I'm always using tyrosinase inhibitors. I love to use a vitamin A on a regular basis. So my skin stays relatively conditioned. But clients who come in who maybe have been using a bar of soap and, if we're lucky, a sun protectant, and they want to come in and have a peel for perhaps some pigmentation disorders they have. Let's talk a little bit about how we want to prep them so that they get the best result from their peel.
Yeah, so I think the key with skin preparation is really, we're preparing the skin for a chemical peel. So we want those acids to be able to, penetrate the skin. So making sure the skin is clear of debris, and, kind of doing a little bit of the hard work beforehand. So, the peel can really be effective. So, using the right cleansers, we have a product we call our Pro Prep pad. So it's just on a pad like people used to use Stridex pads. So it's easy for clients to kind of do that beforehand to help kind of prepare their skin. It has some retinol in it, as you mentioned. It has some mild, astringents to help exfoliate the really superficial stuff that's on the skin. And that way, when they come in for a peel, it's kind of ready to go. And, the really kind of larger size debris has already been cleared out, and then the peel can really take effect.
I love it. And what's in the Pro Peel pad? So what we would do is we would retail this to our clients, maybe a minimum of 2 weeks before, but ideally a month. But so if we're lucky, we say, hey, here's, start with this now, and we'll see you in a month. They're going to use this every day between the time that you sell it to them and the time they come in for their peel. So what are the ingredients in those prep pads?
Yep. So it has green tea extract. It has a little bit of glycolic and salicylic to help kind of with that early exfoliation, and then some retinol, as well as urea and gluconolactone. So gluconolactone is an interesting one that's getting more popular now too. It's a polyhydroxy acid. So that's, these are kind of all gentle ways to just kind of help get the skin ready for the chemical peel. And a lot of times people, you can sell it to the clients just to use on a regular basis, just to help, like you mentioned, keep their skin kind of, looking good regularly and keep it clean. And it's easy to use on a pad, just do it once a day. So it's good for clients before peel, but even just for regular daily use.
I love it. And now I'm going to be using that more often too. I loved learning about all of these peels, and you guys have so many more. So what we've done is we've given you all like a little bit of information on Hale Cosmeceuticals. Vishnu has been so kind to give us his time and share a little bit of his knowledge. Hale Cosmeceuticals is a scientifically backed company where they work with physicians, they work with spas, they work with estheticians. They've been in business for 30 years and they have excellent customer service. So as a professional in this industry, these are some of the things that we really want to look for when we're connecting with a brand to help us provide these services for our clients. So I can't thank you enough for all of this information. It was a lot to digest, but what's great is that estheticians can watch this over and over, and they can learn more about your products and learn more about the peels that you offer. Stay tuned on the EC, because we work with Hale Cosmeceuticals on a regular basis, and we have a brand highlight that you might be very interested in. So Vishnu, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me. It's been great for me, and I always enjoy talking to you and the rest of the EC community. So hopefully it was informative, and we look forward to meeting everyone at some point, or talking on the phone and get to know people a little bit better.
Well, thank you. Thank you again. All right, guys, we'll see you on the EC next time. Bye-bye.